Well, Ulysses, a little bit of a different topic and or topics on today's episode. This is something we haven't really had a chance to discuss, but figured why not on a random Tuesday here. Rules changes that'll be implemented in 2023. And should the Rays open up the upper deck of the Tropicana Field down the stretch of the season and possibly into the playoffs?
This is going to ruffle some feathers. Is it
Yeah.
rustle or ruffle?
It's Ruffle, but I like Russell as well. Let's Russell Wilson some feathers. I'm cool with that.
Let's do that. Let's do both.
You are Locked On Rays, your daily Tampa Bay Rays podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello, my name is Kevin Weiss.
I'm Ulises Sambrano.
And we're the host of the Locked On Rays podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Thank you for making Locked On Rays your very first listen every day. And remember, Locked On Rays is free and available on all platforms, including YouTube at Locked On Rays. Well, as we mentioned in the open, rules changes that'll be coming to baseball, to the major leagues, I should say, in 2023. Bigger bases, banning the shift, and pitch clock. And I want to, Ulysses, get your take on these one by one before we move on to the Tropicana Field discussion of maybe opening the upper deck. Bigger bases. And I've got a couple bullet points on some context of these rules changes coming to Major League Baseball in 2023. Bigger bases. The bases will increase in size from 15 inches square to 18 inches square. Thoughts?
I like it. I like it. Why not? Why not? Because how many times do we see the super slow-mo just being so close, right? And you're like, oh, did he? Those 3 inches might cut off some of those close calls, and that should increase people trying to steal, make it a little bit more of a dynamic game, hopefully. So yes, I'm in. I like it. And by the way, I don't think anybody has 3 inches like so perfectly on their television set that they're going like, oh, those look so huge. Like, nah, you're gonna see them on opening day, and you're like, oh, those look kind of funky. And then by the first week, at the end of it, you're going to be like, oh, I completely forgot about it.
Yeah.
It's going to be fine.
No, I'm cool with that. If it brings on more action and more activity on the base pass, I'm all for that. Seeing the stolen base, guys taking the extra base, it's one of the more fun plays you'll see in baseball. And if you're an agent out there, you should work in some stolen base incentives into your respective player's contract, because this might create an opportunity. If you thought Randy was running a lot as it is, he might be running a lot more in 2023, and he might be safe a lot more in 2023 as well.
I mean, just look at the impact with race players. Jose Sirí, I think he's going to increase these numbers. Manuel Margot, increase his numbers. Randy Arozarena, he's going to increase his numbers. Like, all around, it's going to be so much easier for these fast guys to do that. Now, for the not so fast guys, that could potentially, those 3 inches could potentially be Yandy Diaz being out, Jonathan Aranda being out, to them possibly being safe. Now, I dig it.
Yeah. So we're in agreement on that one. And again, this is probably the Rays forward thinking a little bit. If you look at their minor league system, the amount of athletes and base stealers and guys just with pure flat out speed, this had been something that had been talked about for a while now, and I think was implemented in portions of the minor leagues as well. So it was only a matter of time with that. Banning the shift. Some context here. All 4 infielders must have both feet entirely on the infield dirt when the pitcher is on the rubber. 2 infielders must be entirely on either side of second base, and failure to comply with the above 2 will result in an automatic ball.
I don't like it.
Okay.
I don't like it because
not a fan.
Not a fan. I mean, you're trying to make the game more dynamic. You're trying to, speed the pace with other rules and all that, and you're just gonna have guys like Joey Gallo be relevant again. Like just one-dimensional players are just going to like breathe a sigh of relief and go, "Oh God, thank the Lord! I can keep pulling the ball. I can just keep selling out for power." And then that doesn't make the game more dynamic. And so even if you were to tell me, hey, Ulises, the ball is still going to be dead. These guys, that's going to promote people to not sell out for the home run. Do you actually believe that the Joey Gallos of the world are going to be like, well, the ball is dead. I can obviously not stop pulling for power now and try to do something. No, they're not. They're still going to do the same thing. They're going to do the same thing. So I don't like it. It's, Ted Williams used to get shifted. Tony Armas in the 70s got shifted. Like now, I don't know. I don't like it. I'm not.
It's a tough balance because baseball wants to speed up the game, but they also want to bring in more action and offense, and it's hard to bring in more action and offense and make games shorter. 9 to 6 games are naturally going to be longer than 2-1, 3-2 games. So that's sort of what they're trying to figure out. Now, what I don't entirely hate this rule as much as I thought, because I got to thinking, there's nothing that says the outfielders can't be shifted or moved around if need be. So you've got a lefty pull heavy hitter like Joey Gallo, who's to say we're just going to leave that left side of the outfield wide open and bring it, basically shift all 3 outfielders or 2 outfielders completely to that other side, to that right side, and still make a hit.
What you could do is exactly like, let's say it's next year. David Peralta, he comes back. Whatever, people. I'm just using the names for this year. David Peralta.
Hey, he's made an impressive showing for the Rays despite the lack of power, and he can field in left field at 35 years old, making plays at the wall, making plays in foul territory. He can still move it.
Thank you. So David Peralta's left, Sirí in center, and Randy in right. I mean, you're right. What's not to say that maybe Taylor Wander Franco. Whoops. Well, that's a Freudian slip. Wander Franco is playing really tight next to the bag because Joey Gallo is at bat into the second base, but he's still on the left side. Yandy Diaz at third base. He's playing like shortstop. Okay.
Yeah.
That's still legal, and their feet are on the dirt. Brennan Lau at second base is kind of shifted. Let's say, what would you put him at? I think it would be best to maybe hug him around the second base side, and then you got David Peralta kind of playing short right field.
Yeah,
that could be kind of a shift, and it would be a legal shift.
You create a quasi rover there. Also, the other thing that I've heard, and I guess may have to be considered or discussed, is as the pitcher is delivering the ball, can an infielder run to a certain spot?
Yeah.
Make a mad dash and take that risk?
I mean, that's why you have athletic guys, and that's why you've been drafting athletic guys if you're the Rays, right? You want that. I mean, so you've got a guy like Wander. Like, okay, as soon as the ball is, because I think the rule is, as soon as the ball is released, that they have to have their feet on the dirt. So both feet on the dirt. So as soon as that, they could be like on a sprint kind of like post. Like as soon as they release, I'm going.
Yeah.
I mean, that would be fun. That would be kind of fun, and you would see some kind of diving plays that would. I wouldn't hate seeing that. I just hate that they had to finally succumb to doing something about the shift.
Right. And as far as, because we can't do anything about it now because it's going to be implemented in 2023, this does help and assist those defensive first players like Taylor Walls who rely on their range and versatility. So it may get those types of guys more jobs as well. We'll discuss the pitch clock because But we're going to have to talk about LinkedIn first because the pitch clock has a lot of bullet points that we have to get through, and then we'll move on from there. So I mentioned LinkedIn. LinkedIn Jobs helps you find the qualified candidates you want to talk to faster. Post your job for free at linkedin.com/lockedonmlb. That's linkedin.com/lockedonmlb to post your job for free. Terms and conditions apply. All right. The third point here of the pitch clock. So I see 5 different bullet points that I got to get through, and then we'll get our analysis here.
Okay.
Once the ball is ready for play, the pitcher must begin his motion within 15 seconds with the bases empty and 20 seconds if there's a runner on. The batter must be in the box alert to the pitcher within 8 seconds of the timer starting. If the pitcher is late, he's charged with an automatic ball. If the batter is late, he's charged with an automatic strike. The pitcher may disengage from the rubber, for example, step off or throw to the bases, no more than twice per plate appearance. If the batter advances during the plate appearance, the disengagement counter is reset. If the pitcher steps off or throws to the bases a third time, the runner automatically advances if the pickoff attempt is unsuccessful. In order to speed up play generally, there will be a 30-second limit on both mound visits and the time between batters.
One question I have is, when does the timer start? Like, let's say you throw a pitch.
Yeah.
And it's strike. Okay. Only 1 to count. When does the pitch clock start? Is it when when the umpire says strike? Is it when the ball enters the pitcher's glove to return it? Do we know?
I would assume that, it says there's a 30-second limit on both mound visits and the time between batters. Well, I guess that doesn't really explain it. I would assume that once the catcher throws the ball back to the pitcher, that the pitcher needs to throw within 15 or 20 seconds, depending on whether there's bases empty or if there's a runner on. So does that mean that there's a loophole there that the catcher could hold on to the ball for another 5, 10, 15, 20 seconds? I don't see anything in here about that.
Thank you for seeing where I was going. Yes, exactly. Yeah. That's what I'm saying. Because if the rule is not specified, so that means, the catcher can just kind of like drop his knees, fix the mask. All right, just do a little shoulder rug, and then all right, here we go. Well, he's doing the pitch comm, at least one try, and then he's like, nah, shake it off. Okay, I can do something else. Throws the ball back, then gain himself some time, gain his pitcher some time. If you're a catcher and you see this loophole, why wouldn't you do it? You want to help out your pitcher. You want to help your staff. So this is some way that I could see this being kind of utilized the wrong way. I do think that 7 seconds for a batter, and I say 7 seconds because it's 15 without the runners on base, correct? 15 seconds?
Correct. 15 seconds with the bases empty and 20 seconds if there's a runner on. And the batter must be in the box, quote, alert to the pitcher, end quote, within 8 seconds of the timer starting.
Oh, with 8 seconds. Okay, so 8 seconds. So 8 seconds of the timer after the timer has gone by. I think that's enough. I think that's enough time for the hitter to be at the box at the ready. No more Garcia Parra. You know who also I've noticed kind of does take is Jonathan Aranda. He's a glove guy. Yeah, he's a glove, helmet, chess guy, and it's odd because he's in AAA they're doing this, so he does take his time. So again, I do not disagree with making the game faster. You should make the game faster. It's just in the playoffs. This is kind of like tasting and smelling kind of like the Manfred runner after the ninth inning. Like really, games are going to be decided because the pitcher stepped off a third time and it was a 3-2 count. Like that's how the game ends. That's something I would not like to see.
And I guess you can't change the rules in the playoffs, can you? Just like they did with the Ghost Runner in the regular season, and in the playoffs it was removed.
Why not? If you're doing it, if you did it last year for the Manfred Runner, why can't you do, hey, these are only for the regular season. We still are going to have our playoff like we used to. Like, I would be okay with that.
This is going to be a tough pill to swallow. I think it's going to be easier for the guys that have had to deal with it through the minor leagues, but the old timers like the Justin Verlanders, the Zach Greinke, the guys who've been in the big leagues for 4, 5, 10 years, whatever it may be, it's going to take some adjustment, and you've got to really understand these rules because they are kind of unwieldy and complicated. It's, well, okay, when do I have 15 seconds? When do I have 20 seconds? Oh, wait, how many times can I throw to the bag? And then what I do like about this is the mound visit and the time between batters. You cut down on that. You cut down on that time. Say what you got to say. It's your turn to bat. Get up to the plate and start hitting. I think that's hopefully a solution that doesn't really affect the gameplay all that much. So Kyle Snyder, you better be sprinting out to the mound. You can't be galloping and gliding and hip hopping and scotching around like you usually do, and you spend some time up on the mound. So that's
and he's a tall guy, and he takes his time to get to the mound, and he then goes a little bit faster in the last 3 steps, and you're like, dude, but you literally just crawled your way there. So yeah, Kyle,
they should give him a moped and ride up there. Give him a moped, just have him ride up to the mound.
It would limit the ways that he almost fractured he had a cramp or whatever one time. Look, that's going to be great to kind of minimize that. I was thinking also maybe becoming a little bit faster if you have like a pitch comm, situation with the pitcher for those meetings. Maybe that could be in the future, but I don't think the pitch clock is going to be a bad thing. I think it's just going to be something that you're going to see bloopers for the first month and a half, and then people are going to adapt. But the Pete Fairbanks of the worlds, where they basically wear their emotions on their sleeve. He already came out and said, I bleep and hate this. I dislike it. It's a game without a clock, and now we're putting a clock. This isn't basketball. This isn't football. So already you're seeing pitchers being opposed to it. But obviously, if you're a Rays fan and you've been a Rays fan for a long time, everybody here knows who is going to be the most affected by a pitch clock. Kevin Weiss, would you be able to tell these people who that pitcher would be?
On the Rays?
Yeah.
Who is so on the slow? Rays? Assuming he's on the Rays here? One, Ryan Timothy Yarbrough. I don't know his middle name.
I know, but if it would be Timothy, it would be a great middle name for Ryan Yarbrough. Him. My goodness, I've felt time pass in front of me, like as if it were, Interstellar. Like I just saw it in front of me, time as an actual tangible thing while he's pitching. It's crazy sometimes. So how are those guys going to be able to adapt rather quickly? Like your off-season work, that's going to be with a clock. Facing guys in spring training, that's going to be with a clock. Pitchers and catchers report, you better know that there's going to be a clock. You got to get these guys in the mentality now.
I would have loved if there was a pitch clock when Joel Peralta was still on the Rays. That would have been
another
sight and an exercise to see. That might have been, man, I remember his half innings, no lie, would be like 40 minutes. It was insane. It was ridiculous. Again, I've got a simple solution for speeding up the game. 7 innings. I'm just going to keep batting the hammer for that one. 7 innings during the regular season, playoffs 9 innings. But I digress from all that. All right, so we've discussed the rules changes. It'll certainly bring about a change to the game, and I'm sure they'll learn some things, and there'll be some good things, and I'm sure there'll be some unintended consequences that come about from all this. All right, Ulises, changing gears a little bit. This is a question that has been thrown about in the media of late, and we might have to get Klonsky's take on it at some point as well. But as the Rays go through the end of the regular season and into the playoffs, should they open the upper deck at Tropicana Field? I can't remember the last time it was opened. It seems like it's been a while now, but is that something that needs to happen?
I don't know if it needs to happen. Again, the only argument that I would see for this would be because you could really get some cheap tickets there. People are saying, oh, well, you know, the Rays are so expensive in the lower bowl, blah, da, da, da. If they were to make the tickets $10, then we would go. Well, that's a perfect place to put it at $10, right? Just those tickets.
Mm-hmm.
The issue with that is, well, again, it's a business, people, right? So is Stu going to spend, let's say, a ridiculous, I don't know how much it is to hire staff to clean the upper deck, hire staff for the concessions in the upper deck, people to clean the bathrooms and all of that maintenance and services that it takes to have the upper decks, working.
Yeah.
How much is that? How much is that money that he needs to spend? And then how much is he actually getting in return for those $10 ticket prices and concessions? I wouldn't think it's a win for Stu to do that.
Well, clearly not, because they haven't been opened for some time. I wonder if there could be a creative aspect, though, of can you just open up a portion, a section of the upper deck instead of the entire upper deck? I think that, I understand. According to social media, people are very, very strong in their mindset that, yes, the upper deck at Tropicana Field should be open. But say a ticket's only $10, you're still paying $20 in parking. If anything, I feel like the Rays down the stretch, if they just cut down on the parking costs, like, hey, we've got a September special, playoffs, well, not playoffs, because that would be much more expensive, but September special parking. We know it's a heck of a drive, and trying to deal with the weeknight traffic, whatever it may be. Kids are in school. Parking's $5. Parking's $10. I feel like that could make more of a difference than, or no.
No, they did the playoff push right for the last homestand, and did the 40% off for tickets and the parking as well. So good for them for doing that. The problem is that that's probably what it should be year round. Right. $10, 12. I think it's $12 parking right now for that last homestand. That's an okay amount of money that I think most people that go to a race game would be like, all right, $12 for parking. All right, fine. But 25 against the Yankees and Red Sox, that's just Stu saying, yeah, I'm gonna need that money now. Yeah. It's like, come on, bro. Don't be that in my face, stealing money from my pocket now.
It'd be one thing if I could digest $20-$25 parking if the ease of getting in and out of the Trop was to the point of, man, it is so convenient to park.
Right.
But it's also a bear to have to deal with, which is a double whammy from that perspective. So, and honestly, I think it goes back to, so parking's $12 right now.
I believe so.
I did not know about that. That should be blasted on a billboard somewhere. That should be mass emailed and mass texted.
I think it's that the playoff push, the 40% off tickets, and then I think it's that's the deal. Like, it's also, instead of $20, it's $12 to park. So they're doing it, and they're doing a good thing right now. And if you're willing to pay $12 and 40% off tickets, hey, go support the Rays. Yeah. So that's good for them. But I don't know, the upper deck thing. Like, I agree with you. Like, okay, maybe not keep the whole thing open because that's ridiculous. Right. But maybe just tell people we are going to have one concession, one set of bathrooms, and like the 3 or 4 sections closest to home plate in the 300s. Yeah. That's it. Oh, you actually want food? Well, I guess you're going to miss the game and go to the Grand Bowl, because at least you pay $10 to get in. So if you actually want concessions, you got to go down. And I think people would make that trade-off, Kevin. I think people would be like, $10 to ticket, and I just have to go downstairs if I really want to get something to eat? All right, I'll do that. I don't think they're going to be like, super Karens about this and be like, wow, I paid $10 for my ticket. I have no concessions here. Like, I don't think that's where race fans would go. But you know what? It's 2022. Yeah. Everybody complains about everything.
Alternatively, I would want the upper deck, a portion of the upper deck, to be open so I can pay a piddling amount for a ticket and just, second, third, fourth inning, move down to the lower bowl. That's my move right there. Nobody really checks anymore. So just getting some comments here on whether the Rays should open the upper deck at Tropicana Field. Ty McCann says, with the amount of people I see complaining about seat prices, I say, sure, make them $10 tickets and $5 kids tickets. That'll make people happy. Peter Glasgow says, why? The place isn't nearly full as it is. H-Town Wheelhouse, our buddy from Locked On Astros, funny here. Yes, so more Astros fans can go to the game to attend playoff games when we square off. Wow. And then Grand Solar Minimum says, the bums that sit in the upper deck don't justify the cost of opening the concessions, the bathrooms, or providing security. Stu needs to be profitable in order to run the team. I think that's being tongue-in-cheek as far as Stu making profit margin.
Is that Stu's burner?
Possibly.
Have we found it?
I think we may have found it in Grand Solar Minimum. So that's there we go. Something tells me that despite people commenting on social media and despite the Tampa Bay Times writing about it, the upper deck will probably not be open. But no. I could be wrong. So, all right. Thank you for making the Locked On Rays podcast your very first listen every day. Now make your second listen to the Locked On MLB Prospects podcast. That is also free and available on all platforms. Hope you all have a wonderful day. Stay safe, and we will talk to you on Wednesday with a mailbag episode.